Okay, fantastic. Well, welcome to another episode of the Insurtech Leadership Podcast. I think most people know who my guest is, and that's Bill Harris. He is Chief Customer Officer for ITC Vegas. Welcome, Bill.
Hey, thank you. Good to be here, Joshua. Thanks for
Yeah,
having me again.
yeah, absolutely. I guess it is that time of year, isn't it?
It is. It's like homecoming. I always tell people, ITC is like, you think about football season. I've got a couple buddies who are like big college football fans. One guy went to Penn State and travels
Yeah.
all over the country. And, homecoming is coming up soon, right? So what better place for an industry homecoming than ITC Vegas in the fall? So, yeah, we're coming up we're 3 weeks from right now, October 14th, 15th, and 16th. Once again at Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas. We've got a lot planned. A lot of folks are on pace to be bigger than last year. We had 9,000 people last year, on pace to be even bigger than last year. There's still tickets available. And for those of you guys who are tuning in live, we've got a Wonderland, like an Alice in Wonderland through the Looking Glass theme. I'm the Mad Hatter. My avatar is the Mad Hatter. We even have a special promo that's still live through the end of the day today, Thursday, September 25th, which is mad. I've gone mad and giving away the farm, so to speak. But if you use promo code MAD, you can still get a nice little discount on your ticket.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. And then also, I think through our group, the Insurtech Association, we have a discount code as well. I don't know how they match up, but if there are any ITA members on, then you have that available to you as well. So let us know if you're interested in that. So I think this is 10 years, correct?
Yeah, this is the 10th year of ITC. Obviously, with the pandemic in 2020, we did meet in person. So this is our 9th in person. This is the 10th ITC Vegas. Can't believe it's gone by that quickly.
Yeah. So, it has gone from kind of a startup showcase to a homecoming for, anyone interested in insurance innovation. I think it would be safe to say. So,
Absolutely.
just, curious, what's your, kind of perspective on that? And, is there anything, particularly new or interesting for this year that you'd like to share as well?
Yeah, no, it's a good observation. As I tell people, and people are like, "What do you do?" Or what have you. And I tell people, I run the world's largest gathering of insurance innovation, truly, and that's what ITC has become over the last 10 years. Like you said, we kind of started off with a focus on startups, although our original plan was always it was kind of the three-legged stool model we would talk about internally, right? It was about bringing together the innovators, the incumbent carriers, right, and the investors. Those were really the three pillars of building ITC Vegas back 10 years ago in 2016 when we had our first show. And we've continued to double down on that. We have literally hundreds and hundreds of startups. We should have something in the range of like 700, 800 startups will be attending ITC Vegas. Literally thousands of companies, as well as thousands of individuals from insurance carriers, reinsurers, major brokers, even smaller brokers and independent agents. We're going to have probably close to about 500 or so independent agents this year at ITC Vegas as part of our agents and brokers program, which was new last year. We're kind of continuing to see growth in that. I'll just talk about that for a quick second. It's going to be on Tuesday. Agents and brokers, it's going to be a combined session on Tuesday. We have separate stages. If you're an independent agent, it's content that's curated specifically for you. If you're more on the brokerage side, there's also curated content for you on a different stage. There's an expo in that area. Again, it's kind of like an event within an event. We'll have an expo with exhibitors all day Tuesday. So there's really a lot to do. My colleague Drake Slaku Lawhead, who also he's our head of growth and runs our LATAM program, as well as our agents and brokers program and a few other things. Drake has really done a wonderful job, reaching out to that community and letting them know, hey, there's a space for you at ITC. A lot of folks thought 10 years ago or in 2016 that, the independent agent was going to be disintermediated,
Yeah.
and there's going to be no need for them as the technology grows and the adoption of technology grows. And I think very much so, we see this even with talks about AI, that's less and less the case. People want that trusted human advisor. And so the role of the independent agent is much, much more important. We even have a neighborhood on the second and third day. I'll just talk about the independent agent and broker part. That's our first
Yep.
day on Tuesday. On Wednesday and Thursday, when our expo hall opens up and we do our keynotes and all that good stuff, in our expo hall last year, we kind of carved it out into neighborhoods. So we have the LATAM neighborhood. We have the innovation neighborhood for the startups. We have the life, health, and brokers neighborhood, and we have the distribution neighborhood also. So folks are interested in finding their flock can easily find who they're looking for in each neighborhood. So not a new thing this year per se, but we're doubling down on that. And so it's new to some people.
So in terms of the, the mix of people at the event, would you say that's the biggest evolution, is the, increased participation of the brokers in the independent agent channel?
I would say particularly the independent agents, yes. We've always been strong with carriers, with brokers, solutions providers, obviously with startups, as I mentioned. The independent agent is probably our fastest growing cohort of people. To that end, also, other things that are new, we also have this year on Thursday, a full day cyber summit. One of our advisory board members, Amit Arora, who's a cyber expert and is also a professor at Columbia on AI and cyber and what have you. He's helped us put together a really great agenda for Thursday, all day, our first ITC Vegas Cyber Summit. And also, as we talk about independent agents and how they're trying to grow their agencies, how they're trying to grow their book of business, we're also going to do a bunch on Thursday related to sales and performance marketing. We have a special track of content on sales and performance marketing. That's new this year as well. So, yeah, there's a lot that's new. There's a lot that we've done before that we're kind of bringing back and improving upon and reiterating on. But it all wraps up into a terrific jam-packed 3 days. I should say 4 days. What's also new is on Monday, I'm hosting a golf tournament, the inaugural ITC Vegas golf tournament, which is basically sold out now. I think we might have perhaps one spot left, but we're going to have a full course of hackers out there on Monday. So, the whole week is going to be busy with a lot to do.
So, well, if you have one of those golf spots open, I might be interested. I think I missed that part. But at any rate, I mean, I know last year, I interviewed a bunch of people at the event, and everyone had stapled everyone in the exhibit hall seemed like it stapled AI onto what they were doing in some way.
Right.
And then we've had past things at the event around blockchain, or maybe embedded was big one year. So, I mean, is Gen AI the thing this year, or are you seeing any theme in particular around the technology or other areas of innovation that you think is going to be big this year?
I still think Gen AI is going to be king, just like last year. I think that's where everyone's focus is. And I think now, as we, are now, I think it's like 2.5 years since ChatGPT started and launched, folks are really trying to figure out, okay, how do I actually get ROI out of it? There's been a few studies that have come out about how, enterprise adoption is kind of high, or maybe I'm saying the studies basically companies aren't really garnering as much out of Gen AI in terms of real output, real results yet. Everyone's testing and trying, but no one's at least in the insurance general tech world, no one's really come out with, okay, this is actually how we're really using it, how we're really gaining benefits. A few folks have been successful, but generally speaking, it's still in that testing phase. So I think what we're going to find out a lot about this year, and a lot of the conversations kind of that are happening over lunch or over drinks or what have you, or all right, what are you really garnering in terms of success stories out of your adoption of Gen AI? And then how are you applying that to agentic AI? How are you potentially speeding up some of your workflows and back office operations and that kind of thing? Um, so I think AI is certainly high. Cyber is definitely high. Everyone's talking about. You see what's happened, just right now with like Jaguar Land Rover, right? They didn't sign off on their contract. They don't have coverage. They got hacked. Their output is still down. I think this is the third or so week. It's going to be down for a few more weeks. I believe I saw that Jaguar Land Rover produces 1,000 vehicles a day, right? So massive, massive supply chain impacts.
Yep.
Heck, carriers have been hacked. Quantum computing is coming very soon. I think that's the next thing kind of around the corner, right? People aren't really talking about quantum right now. People also don't really want to publicly talk about quantum computing.
Yeah.
But the effects of quantum computing on cybersecurity are going to be massive.
Yeah.
And I think there are going to be a lot of conversations about, hey, how can we get ahead of this? What are you doing? And I think this is the beauty of ITC, because you have so many, carrier and reinsurer professionals who are incumbents who are partnering with and looking towards startups and other solutions providers to give them advice. And it's such a rich gathering of a lot of really informed people who are making decisions, at board level and at the top echelons of these insurance enterprises. It's a great way for them to really pick the brains of their peers and find out, hey, what are you doing and what's working for you, and this is what I'm doing, and share that kind of feedback that's not just in your own internal echo chamber, right? To get out there and hear from other folks about what's working and where they're finding success, I think is really quite a valuable aspect of what happens at ITC.
Hey, I got kicked out. I'm sorry. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's one of these days. Under the weather. Tech doesn't want.
Josh, I don't know if you're there again.
So
Okay.
I don't know. Let's see
Here.
if we can power through here.
I hear you now.
So yeah. So I think I got most of that around impact of quantum computing on cyber and critical. So any thoughts on sort of what's hype cycle and what's really here to stay?
Yeah, that's hard. I definitely think, AI. I think generative AI is here to stay. I really do. Um, I don't think it's going to, replace jobs as much as it is going to be retooling, your workforce to become better prompt writers and that kind of thing. Um, I think agentic AI might, if it picks up enough steam, if folks can really figure out how to leverage that, I think some of that back office work, that tedious kind of repetitive over and over work, that could be highly impactful in insurance, which obviously, there are a lot of forms, there's a lot of paperwork, there's a lot of, the rate quote bind, the renewals. I think there are some definite economies of scale that can be reaped from agentic AI, but I still think we're very early in that process. Um, but there have been
Yeah,
startups and others who are figuring out how to make that work. So I think that's here to
yeah.
stay.
I
You know,
I interviewed someone recently who runs an MGA, and he told me that one of his carrier partners um, basically said, "Oh, you hired several people." having no idea that they were actually agents that were doing processing for
Right.
some of their stuff back and forth.
Right.
So yeah, I do think maybe for some of the growth companies, all these things are a little easier to implement. And going back to your point before, it does seem like, from what I can tell from some of these reports, like that Bain report, I think you were maybe referencing that one, and a couple of the others. It seems like, the enterprise-wide initiatives have had their challenges, but whether they should be or shouldn't be, like at the day-to-day level, I think individual employees are finding a lot of ways to take advantage of Gen AI and increasing productivity that way. So it'd be interesting to see if that somehow meets in the middle, in terms of
Right.
the people actually doing the work are the ones who can see how it can best be leveraged, and then that can kind of be made an enterprise initiative in some way.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I definitely think it's come so far in whatever 2.5, 3 years. Um, it's an amazing, it's been an amazing research tool. Obviously, there's so much more that can be done with AI than just research and content generation. Um, yeah, it's we're at the dawn, and I think with the growth of AI, and as we get closer to artificial general intelligence, right, where the computers are approaching, the human level of knowledge, as that, corresponds with the rise of quantum computing, I think in about 4 or 5 years, there's going to be some really interesting stuff happening. I think we'll see another kind of round of great innovation because like the startups have kind of slowed down a little bit. You're not seeing as many seed level startups
Yep.
emerging. you know you're not seeing as many just technologists who are like, oh, I can figure out insurance. Now you're seeing more of the folks who are doing the innovation having strong roots either from a carrier, or they're kind of in their second go round. They've been with an Insurtech before, and now they're starting off on their own. So they've acquired
Yeah.
enough at least baseline insurance knowledge, and now I think we're going to see another, whole round of folks trying to innovate. Again, for brokers in particular, I think you're going to see the laggards in like the life, health, annuity space, kind of pick up to kind of the trendsetters on the PNC side. So I think there's a lot, to come in the next, in the short term of the next 2 to 5 years, really.
So if someone's attending ITC for the first time, or maybe has been before, but it's grown a lot, and it's so big now, maybe feels a little bit overwhelmed, how would you tell them to plan their attack for the event?
Yeah, it is big. 9,000 people. It's certainly not the 1,500 that we started off with in 2016. So we have sessions for first timers. We have webinars on our website, vegas.insurtechconnect.com. We do host webinars. There's one coming up just in a few days on October 1st, a first timers webinar, which I encourage people to attend. We have a first timer session on Tuesday as well in the afternoon, which I encourage people to attend. It's, we'll present and say, this is how you take advantage of ITC. And also it's a Q&A kind of session. Also, we offer a tour on Wednesday morning of the expo hall and kind of the surrounding areas in the conference center for first timers. So everyone can kind of get the lay of the land before it gets too hectic. It's early in the morning. It's usually about 7:15 or so. But I encourage people to do that because you'll kind of be able to figure out like, oh, this is what's happening. This is where stuff is in the expo. This is where I can find coffee. This is where the bathrooms are, a lot of the basic stuff. But also you can find out the neighborhoods. And that neighborhood concept that we unveiled really a couple of years ago with the start of like ITC LATAM, but then built on for the last few years, has really been well received. And people are saying, wow, like so glad that you did this, because when I go to the life, health, and benefits neighborhood, I know there's going to be life, health, and benefits content from the stage. I know the exhibitors are basically going to be, life, health, and benefits related exhibitors. I know the people who are physically there are probably going to be life, health, and benefits,
Yep.
adjacent or what have you. They're going to be people from that. So it makes stuff so much easier to put those neighborhoods together. So for first timers, yes, it's large. I also say bring comfortable shoes. Sounds simple, but like dress comfortably, be comfortable. People aren't walking around in suits and ties. There might be a couple people but people are there to discover, to network, to hear, to learn, and hear new things that are going on, and be comfortable because, hey, you're going to be in the desert. Even though you're inside, it's still toasty outside. There's a lot to
Yeah.
do. The days are long. The nights are long. There's a lot of networking. We have what we call ITC Vegas Week. It's also on our website. We've got a list of events that are happening that, you can, you just have to reach out to the host, but there is an awful lot happening. Our app is also out. We've got thousands and thousands of people signed up for meetings already. We'll have tens of thousands of meetings coordinated throughout the week on our app. So there's just a lot going on, but you have to plan your time. You have to be, I'm starting to work out my schedule. I literally work out my schedule by the hour because I've got to be in a lot of different places. I'm opening up stages. I'm speaking here, there,
Right.
hosting stuff. There's a lot happening. Plan your time, but also allow time for serendipity. Don't overplan yourself because you may have, you may just meet someone, waiting in line for coffee or for breakfast or lunch or what have you. You might sit down at a lunch table with someone new and get invited out to dinner or to a cocktail party. So plan for a little bit of serendipity also.
Yeah. So with the event, sort of supporting the growth of Insurtech and Insurtech maturing a little bit over this first decade, what role do you see ITC playing, sort of looking forward to the next decade?
Yeah, it's a good question. We're here for the ecosystem. We always have been. It's never really been, about us or our personalities or anything like that. We are here to help the ecosystem grow because, to us, hey, insurance is about the people, the places, and the things that we love and protecting those things. It's a huge ecosystem, obviously, at $7 trillion globally. And people often say, there's such an underinsurance gap, right? That it probably should be closer to, 25-ish $trillion market. That's epic. That's crazy. And so anything that we can do to help make the ecosystem grow, make the ecosystem more efficient, make ultimately for all of us who are the insured, right, make our journey in this risk management space easier. That's of great value because essentially everyone, at least everyone in the US, for the most part, insurance is compulsory, right? If you drive a car, you have a house, you rent a place, you need insurance. The rest of the world, maybe not everyone's driving cars or what have you, but even in, the most remote places of the world, right? Everyone's got a phone, basically. Everyone's got a cell phone, even device insurance. Like insurance touches every single person. So I'm trying to tell my daughter who just, graduated from college, and I'm like, hey, time for you to start paying for your car insurance and that kind of thing. It touches everyone. So I see what we do at ITC Vegas is playing a vital role of making that, I come from the customer experience kind of angle, making the customer experience really as seamless as possible because everyone has risk. And it's just about how do we manage that risk day to day, whether we're driving, whether we're, in our home, as climate change continues to accelerate. I know some folks still deny that climate change is happening.
Yeah.
As climate change continues to accelerate and we see that in all these storms, you got to protect yourself. It's just that simple. And how can we help move that forward as seamlessly as possible? Yeah, there's still a lot of work to do. And so I see ITC as playing a vital role in that for many years to come.
Yeah, great. Well, Bill, it's been great having you on. Anything else you'd like to share before we wrap up?
No, thanks. Just, we look forward to seeing everyone in Vegas. It's going to be an epic time. I will share, of course, we always, or not always, but usually for the last like 7 years, we've closed out with a really awesome concert. Last year, we brought that concert indoors with Boys to Men. This year, it's going to be the Goo Goo Dolls. So super intimate, kind of almost like a coffee house feel, because you'll be, 10, 20 feet away from the performers. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be
Cool.
awesome. So get your rest, stay hydrated, and we'll see you in Vegas.
All right, great. Well, Bill Harris, co-founder and chief customer officer of ITC Vegas, thanks so much for joining me on the Insurtech Leadership Podcast.